Hockey Town, it's a place where dreams are found. We fought so many battles here, now we're the ones that they will fear. The cup resides within our town, we won't stop no letting down. The cup is ours for all to drink, it's our time, let's rock this ring.
Yo, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Hockey Town Rundown. You're here with us, your beautiful hosts, once again, Carlo and Zach. Carlo.
What is up, man?
I think the boys might be back. 2-game win streak. 2-0 against the Tampa Bay Lightning. You went to that game last night, buddy.
Yeah, I was going to say the boys might be back. My voice is not. So bear with me here, folks. But, dude, what a game. Holy smokes.
I texted you as soon as that game ended. I was like, Carlo, you picked a really good game to go to because that had true playoff vibes to it.
100%.
The last 3 minutes, the whole game. And we'll obviously go in depth about that game as we continue along. Yeah. Carlo, what do we got in store today? Yeah, the Red Wings currently, we believe it's a huge youth movement going on right now, right? And what's coming up in the near future is the trade deadline. What kind of options are the Red Wings looking at? Because before this 2-game win streak, yeah, the Red Wings did not have a great road trip. They only walked out with a few points. And so a lot of fans, and I'm sure probably on the inside of the organization, were asking questions. Is this team good enough to make the playoffs? So we will go in depth about that, talking about the trade deadline. We are going to go ahead and do the Flyers, the Habs, and the Tampa Bay Lightning game recaps. We will be starting off with the Red Wings news, just kind of changing things up a little bit, and then finish off with around the league news. And Carlo, before we actually jump into all of that, we want to stop and say thanks for joining us on this brand new episode. Once again, if you're new or returning, thanks for joining us once again. And if you have not already, that button right there down below, if you are viewing us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button, and then hit that little notification bell. We actually have the animations down below if you guys haven't seen those yet. We also have this really cool ticker down below that actually tells you guys what the main topics are going to be this episode, and then a little bit of the game recaps in terms of the dates and the scores and if they won, lost, or went into OT, which is really cool. We're making changes here, Carlo. So we hope you guys enjoy it. We think you guys enjoy it. Let us know. We actually really do appreciate you guys stopping by and leaving us down a comment below on these episodes, whether if that's on Spotify or Apple too. We are really big on social media as well, pointing this way. You can find us on Twitter X. We are the most engaged on there, but you can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, also on Threads. We keep on forgetting to add that, Carlo. But Carlo, I don't know if you knew, but I think you're a mind reader. Can you think what I'm thinking?
I think what you're about to say is that it's free to do these things, Zach.
It is.
Took me a while to catch on to that. You know, it really did. But once I figured it out, I actually started going and liking and subscribing to some of the other podcasts that I frequently listen to. And I obviously encourage you guys to do that, not only for us, but for any podcast or anything you listen to on this platform. That's truly how you help our channel, but it's also how you help the other channels that you really, really like. So it does go a long way. It's a great way to support us and support the page and support what we're doing. And another thing that really, really helps the pod and us directly is check out our merch site. We have some really cool stuff there. The Todd Father line is in full effect. And let me tell you, it is some really good stuff. And we will continue to take all the Mickeyisms that we're about to hear in the future and throw that on some merch so we can wear that all proudly. But again, these are all things that really help the pod directly. It helps us directly, and it really motivates us to keep things moving forward, keep things going, keep things fresh. To Zach's earlier point, make the changes that we want to make to continuously make the pod better so it's more enjoyable for you guys. So thank you all for being here so far, and thank you all to the future people who are going to come on and engage with us and like us and support us. We really appreciate it, and that is what truly keeps us going. So with all that said, I think it's a fair time to say welcome to the show. Let's get this party started, Zach.
Let's get the party started. And actually, right before we do, Carlo, we're actually going to share our page with all of our merch and apparel to show everyone who actually is viewing us, whether that is on YouTube or on Spotify. Yes, you can watch us on Spotify. Do not recommend doing that in the car, though, especially if you're in the state of Michigan.
Don't watch in the car. Don't do it.
Those popo are going to get you very quickly. So with that, yeah, we got some really great merchandise on here. Carlo did mention how we have the Todd Father apparel. Yes, we actually just included that with the hashtag Let's Go Red Wings and our logo on there. I do recommend if you do place an order on any of these Todd Father apparels. Just let them know that you do want the logo side and that you want Todd Father into one word. That's just an image. It's messed up. So they will get that taken care of for you. And so with that, Carlo, yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into things. Let's start with some Red Wings news. I probably should save this, but I'm going to talk about it real quick because Monday night, Carlo, actually right after we got done recording, there was word that the Red Wings were prospecting the Penguins and the Kings game Monday night on 1/20/25. Do you think that's for Erik Karlsson that the Red Wings could be there for?
I think so. I know there was some talk about that. I don't know how valid it was or how credible it was, but I know there was some talk about that. I just think it's due diligence being done. Helen St. James put out an interesting article about winter meetings that Yzerman and co are having, and they really kind of have a meeting on every single team in the NHL. So I feel like it's just a due diligence thing to see if there's a piece there. Do we want it? How would it work? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know how much juice is behind it, though. That's the only thing, and I don't think anybody really does. When it comes to Detroit and it comes to Steve Yzerman, you're completely shooting in the dark and guessing anything. Erik Karlsson obviously has a lot of brand power. It'd be really cool to see if there was anything there. It's just that contract's so crazy, man.
Yeah, at $10 million. And it's funny that you would bring that up because it was retained the first time that he was traded to Pittsburgh, right? So only a little bit, but still at a $10 million cap hit. The Red Wings couldn't take on that full $10 million unless you're able to shell out $8 million, right? So does the Pittsburgh Penguins even want something like that? Because you would think about, I mean, you're looking at players like Kopp or Comfer, Hall, Sherratt, players of those names. Do the Pittsburgh Penguins want players like that? And even if they did, they would say, well, we want a Nate Danielson or Marco Kasper in return as well, right?
Well, of course.
We'll just have to wait and see if that's something that's up in the air. But would I like it, Erik Karlsson? Absolutely. I think he would make this team a little bit better, give us a little more offense where we need it. The defense doesn't provide as much offense as they did last season, but they're still getting the job done and playing a good defensive game under Trent Yawney, Tom McClellan. So,
Zach, one more thing too, just before you move on, and I don't want to put the cart before the horse too much because I'm sure you're going to talk about this guy soon, but especially with these I don't want, I guess, a teaser here. ASP is obviously going to be reporting to North America after his season wraps up. I know we'll get into that. But the main reason why I would love to have an Erik Karlsson is to play with ASP.
Carlo, I actually didn't think about it that way either. And we talk about how Patrick Kane and what he does to our young forward.
Exactly.
Thinking about it that way, what an Erik Karlsson can do for our young defensemen outside of Ben Sherratt, Justin Hall, and Petrie.
Yeah, mind-blowing.
Yeah, good call out there. I actually didn't have that written down, so great call out on that. We did learn that actually, thanks to Let's Go Red Wings Prospects, posting that on Twitter and actually translating that for us. So thanks for doing that, buddy. We appreciate all the work that you do.
Yeah, man. Awesome stuff. Make sure you guys check him out too, because if you're very interested in hearing about some of the prospects that we don't get super crazy coverage on, I mean, let that be your source. It's credible, it's valid, and he does some great work. So make sure you check him out and shout out to that page because he does some really good work, and it really affects us in a positive way because it helps us give you guys what we learned from it. So just a little shout out there, man. Love it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Moving further along with this. Yeah. Trey Augustine is actually up for a nomination for Hobey Baker Award, and you can go vote for him at hobeybaker.com/vote/. Carlo, I voted 3 times the other day. I don't know about you if you voted.
Yeah, I did vote. I didn't realize you could vote multiple times. Is it once every 24 hours?
Different emails.
Oh, fair enough. Okay. I'm going to have to create a couple more emails.
Yeah.
Don't tell Hobey.
I got way too many. Got a Gmail, got a Yahoo, and I got a work email.
Yeah,
so Trey, I hope you win, bud. So yeah, go ahead and vote for Trey if you want him to be nominated as the Hobey Baker Award winner. And then Carlo, Patrick Kane out day-to-day, announced the day after the Flyers game and is still currently out, but clearly the Red Wings don't really seem to be missing him. Do we miss him though? Because I do. I don't know about you.
Yeah. Not that there was super duper power play opportunities while he's been gone. There's actually been very limited power play since he's been gone, but I did notice last night, that's one thing I did miss on the power play. Not to say the power play wasn't clicking or wasn't playing well. They were. But you can tell there's a missing piece there without Patty Kane. Because I believe it was Comfer and Tarasenko on PP1.
Yep.
It didn't really look that great. And that's right. And that's what Patty Kane brings. Patty Kane brings, it's not only the movement, but it's also the draw. Like when Patty Kane has the puck, you are drawing one, if not two guys onto you. And Patty Kane just has that freakish ability to still make the pass off when he's double covered. That's what you miss with Patty Kane. And I'm really hoping he's okay and he can get back soon, because that'll be a big ignition to the power play yet again.
Yeah, apparently it's an upper body. I don't believe that we actually have an update quite yet. And still no update on Jeff Petrie, who also is out. No one's really too worried about him. But looking forward, Jeff Petrie, honestly, I think he's kind of the seventh defenseman at this point. I think even someone like Justin Hall has surpassed him at this point. We'll talk about Albert Johansson obviously moving along. But yeah, I mean, you look at talking about the power plays, the Red Wings last night, they went 0 for 3 or 0 for 4 against the Tampa Bay Lightning. And just kind of not going too far in depth about it, but not enough movement. But you talk about the drawing, and that's essentially the Red Wings power play in a nutshell, right? We're not going to score on you by doing the nice fancy things, right? We're going to do it by drawing it to the players with the puck and making sure that the player on the back door, wherever they're at in the slot, can get that 1T rip off, right? And just get it in the back of the net. The Red Wings weren't able to do that at all last night, Carlos. So who knows? Yeah, that's something that Patrick Kane would definitely help us out a lot with. But the Red Wings still walked away with 2 points with the 2 games that he was out of, right? So good job by them. Carlo, I think now is a good time that we can jump into the Red Wings games. And so the week was started off with the Dallas Stars game, I guess, but we talked about that last episode. So continuing on with the Red Wings versus the Flyers game, which was on 121. You did have Alex Lyon in that. The Red Wings did lose 2-1 in overtime. Ben Sherratt was the only goal scorer. It just overall, Carlo, was not a good game by either team. There really isn't too much to talk about. The Red Wings didn't get any power play opportunities. You could say the refs were maybe a little unfair to the Red Wings because they missed some calls, but that's the game of hockey, right? And so talk about this game, what you noticed, what you liked, and what you did not like about this game. They at least walked away with 1 point, though.
Yeah, we'll take the point, 100%. I don't know, not really much to talk about with this game, for me anyways. I mean, it was kind of a lackluster game. Wasn't a lot of oomph. Yeah, I don't know. Did you take anything away from this? I mean, Raymond looked good. I loved Raymond in this game. I've loved Raymond in honestly every single game since we went on the road back with the Florida trip. Like, he's just looked awesome. But this game for me was kind of a 50-50 toss-up. Anytime this team plays in Philly, it's just one of those games where you're like, what's going to happen tonight? And they're usually either like a 5-5 going into overtime or it's a 1-1 going into overtime. And this one here was a 1-1 going into overtime. So, yeah,
I mean, the takeaway, I mean, you stay competitive with a Flyers team that's really close to you in the standings. They're above you in the standings at that point, right? I mean, you gave up an extra point to them, but I mean, shots very similar, 28-26 wings, face off, both were 50%. Hits very equal, block shots, giveaways. They had a few more takeaways than us. We just scored the goal late with Ben Sherratt, OT Benny, the overnight assassin. Takeaways from this game outside of the norm? No, not really. There wasn't anything other than I thought the Red Wings just did not show up to play. It was just one of those games. And that happens from time to time. It's an 82-game season. It just happens. It's just one of those games, right? So takeaways, I really don't have anything, Carlo. I just really wish that they would have played better. At least Lucas Raymond, Dylan Larkin got an assist on the OT Benny shot. Alex Lyon put up a .923 save percentage, so good for him. Yeah. But we haven't seen him start in the last 2 games because of that OT loss. So takeaways, not many.
No, I mean, even that OT goal, like, it was just a fluky goal. Like, Patty Kane had a great chance just to ice it, and then he kind of got covered up behind the net. Puck squirted out, and they went out pretty much on a 2-on-1 because DeBrincat was gassed. He just couldn't catch up to tip it.
What are your thoughts? Yeah, sorry. What are your thoughts on having Alex DeBrincat and Kane both out there? And they were out there for a pretty lengthy shift, too, kind of like how you just alluded to.
Yeah, I mean, if you have those guys out there with Mo, I think there's honestly, DeBrincat's been very quick this year, and I feel like he's been back checking well. But I think if you have those guys out there with Mo, it's perfectly fine. Look at the goal again, man. It was just a fluky goal. It kind of hung out on the goal line, and it got banged in because Mo was behind the net because he was skating back hard. He was going back hard, and he just went behind the net. I don't know. It's just one of those weird things. You can't really fault anybody. It was just the way the play ended up and the way the play broke out. Obviously, they've moved on from it because they've figured things out, and they haven't even gotten to overtime. So they're avoiding overtime altogether at this point. But yeah, I don't know. I've seen some banter online where it's like, why is Kane out there with DeBrincat? People need to give DeBrincat a little more credit. I mean, Kane, we understand he's not a back checker. He just can't keep up skating back. He's gotten better under Todd, in my opinion. DeBrincat, I think, has been doing really, really well defensively. His defensive game has gotten better for sure.
This season as a whole, not even just with Tom McLellan, I thought he's looked really good on the defensive end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine if he was maybe 3, maybe 4 inches, Carlo, taller, and then added
that's the difference.
Pounds.
That's the difference right there, man, because your stick's a little bit longer, your reach is a little bit longer. Maybe that puck doesn't even get to tip it because it's, you know what I mean? So, I mean, you can't, again, I don't look at this as like a bad game. I thought it was a good game. There definitely were takeaways. It's overtime. It's 50-50. And that was the situation there. We had a chance to ice it moments before that goal with Patty Kane going in. And I thought he was going to ice it. And then when he didn't, obviously everybody in overtime, you're going to be like, okay, what's coming back the other way? And unfortunately it came back. It bit us. We move on. We got a point. Take it. Let's go.
We're going to go ahead and jump into the Red Wings versus the Montreal Canadiens games where, just like how we talked about, you did have Cam Talbot, the 37-year-old goaltender, in net. I always like reminding people that because I do believe it's mind-blowing that he's 37 years old. I'm 30 and my knees crack every single time I stand up. This guy is out here just doing windmills like it's for fun. In this game, you did have Johansson Berggren getting the opening goal, making it 1-0, with Dylan Larkin getting the assist, and that gets him his 550th point in his career on his 700th NHL career game. And he does pass Gordie Howe to be the second fastest to reach the milestone, only to trail Stevie Yzerman. Wow. Carlo, take a moment, recognize that for a second.
Well, I guess we can start with some claps. I mean, those deserve some claps for sure. Dylan Larkin. Wow. You know, it's funny. I don't know if you guys if anybody caught his conversation with Trev before the game, Trevor Thompson at FanDuel Sports, but you know, Dylan Larkin called exactly what we saw that game. He said it's going to be a completely different team. You could tell the vibes were up. You could tell the energy was up, and puck dropped, and Dylan Larkin was everywhere. He had a really, really good game, north and south. He played very, very well, and it was only a matter of time. I mean, he contributed on the first goal. Not a surprise considering what he said and the way he was playing leading up to that. It was great. It was a wicked shot by Berggren too. I thought that was awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But no, this was a really, really good rebound game for this team. Obviously back at home. I mean, look at the shot totals. They had their way. They scored over, I think they got over 15 shots in every period. I don't know. I got to look at the third. I know they dominated the first period though. Great start for the guys. I think a lot of that was led by Larkin. Scored 2 in the first, and then they just continued scoring. Scored another one in the second. Scored 2 in the second, and then just kind of defended the game in the third. Good game. Power play opportunities were there for sure. I think they scored 1, so they were 25%. But the standout to me was their PK. Montreal did have 3 power plays, and Detroit shut them down. So that was really, really nice to see. That was my big takeaway. Was their PK was really, really solid against Montreal.
Yep, just like Carlos said, Montreal 0 for 3 on their power play. Red Wings 1 for 4 on theirs for 25%. The Red Wings did every single period, minus the third. They tied in shots 13. But yeah, the second period, 15, Red Wings 17. They held Montreal to only 4 shots in the first period alone, which is huge, right? It's kind of the exact opposite. We're used to watching the Detroit Red Wings play. Usually it's the Red Wings with 4 shots and the other team having 17, right? And now it's more fun being a Red Wings fan. And we tweeted this out last night that we can get used to these types of first periods where we're in control, even though we haven't scored yet. We can tell that we're outpacing the other team, right? And we did that against Tampa Bay Lightning last night too. But yeah, you were right, Carlo. The Red Wings scored twice in the first, twice in the second. No goals by either team in the third. Montreal scored all of theirs in the second as well. Talking about the goal scorers for Detroit, Alex DeBrincat does get the second goal. It's a power play goal set up perfectly by Raymond.
Dude.
Everyone out on the Habs, dude.
I was faked out.
If you haven't seen that, we did upload a YouTube short video of that. Go ahead and give that a look. I mean, the goalie, the defenseman, the
Everybody.
everyone. It was insane. Talk about it real quick, Carlo.
Lucas Raymond is turning into a superstar before our eyes. I couldn't say that. I can't say that more. I even put out a tweet because I believe it was the Montreal game that it was the Detroit Red Wings' turn for the quarter century team.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you right now, the next time that rolls around, I'm going to say my post again. Lucas Raymond will be on team one when this quarter century team or half century team, I guess, is the next one that comes about. He's going to be on that. He is a budding superstar. He's not even in his prime yet. And watching him make plays like that, where he fakes out the entire team, I was faked out at home. And I'm like, whoa. I think I watched the goal 3 times. It was incredible. And Lucas Raymond continues to get better every single game. You know, not to jump ahead again, but even last night he was trying some things against some pretty solid defensemen, beating them with these little nifty moves. He didn't convert last night. It would have been great to see, but you can tell that he is playing at a high level, packed with confidence. And that's the main reason why this guy's getting better every single game. And I think the big standout moment for me was against that Montreal game and that fake out pass. That deception was just a thing of beauty, 10 out of 10. And DeBrincat ripped it home. And I don't want to discredit DeBrincat. Obviously, DeBrincat's the one that got the puck to cross the line, but assists like that should be worth multiple points because it was just it was nasty.
Oh yeah. If Alex DeBrincat would have missed that wide open net shot, dude, much like how it happened in last night's game versus the Tampa Bay Lightning, I would have been super frustrated. For sure. But yeah, Lucas Raymond for sure is turning into that superstar that we all wanted and needed, right? And we actually made a post of the top 4 picks back in the 2020 draft. And we asked, is it a blessing that the Red Wings jumped back 3 spots? Trying not to go off pace here, Carlo, talking about the game, but I just wanted to gain your thoughts on that. Was it a blessing in disguise that the Red Wings went from 1st to the 4th pick overall in the 2020 NHL draft?
Yeah, I mean, the way it fell, yes, but who's to say Detroit was the first pick and didn't select Lucas Raymond? I mean, that's a possibility. I mean, who knows? We'll never really know. But I think picking Lucas Raymond where we did was the pick of the top 10. It really, look at what he's doing. Stützle, no discredit there. The guy's awesome. He's good. I just, maybe it's bias. It probably is, but I'm a Raymond fan over Stützle. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just the swagger that Raymond carries or because I've watched him like crazy, obviously watching this team like crazy. I've obviously watched Stützle as well because there are some really neck and neck comparisons between the two, but I don't know, man. I think Lucas Raymond has a bit of an edge to him, to his game. And you're just seeing him get better. Like you're seeing him get better. You're kind of seeing Stützle like, I don't know. I haven't really noticed Stützle's game evolving at the pace that Raymond's is. Maybe that's the way to break it down. I don't know if you have, and I'm not saying I'm right here. I could be dead off and way wrong. But I just see evolution in Raymond's game literally every game. Like game to game, it's different. So to answer your question, I think Lucas Raymond at where we picked him was obviously the right move. But even if we were pick number 1, are we still picking Raymond? I don't know. I don't know what the scouts saw in him when he was playing in the Swedish league. I don't know. Maybe he goes 1. Who knows? We'll never know.
Is it a blessing in disguise? Absolutely. Would I have liked the first overall pick? Absolutely. Am I upset by it? Absolutely not. Because Lucas Raymond is here to stay. He's going to be a consistent 100-point player for the Red Wings in the near future. My take, not yours.
That's it. Yep.
That contract keeps on looking better and better, Carlos. Same with Moritz Seider, too.
Yes, sir. They know what they're doing.
They do. And so continuing on with this game, you did have Andrew Kopp actually getting a shorthanded goal in the second period, Carlo, and I was very, very happy for Copper. he's actually turning it around a lot better this season under Tom McClellan and Trent Yanni too. I'm very surprised at the turnaround that he's actually had. It's not too much offense, but it does seem like that his defense game is getting a little bit better. The offense production is obviously coming as we're seeing, but do you have any takeaways from Kopp and what kind of changes he's made since Tom McClellan has come onto the team?
I think Kopp's playing with better players, and that's a confidence boost for him. I don't think Kopp is a bad player. I just think sometimes he makes boneheaded decisions, or his mind wants to execute something that his body can't, and sometimes it frustrates you as a fan watching him, especially in the defensive zone. But I don't know what structure they've brought in. They've definitely brought in some new structures and some tweaks to how they play in their defensive zone, how they play in front of their net, all that stuff. And I have absolutely noticed an improvement with Andrew Kopp. Watching him live last night, he was one of the players that actually stood out to me. I saw him everywhere. And I even mentioned that to my brother-in-law who I was there with. I'm like, dude, Kopp looks sick tonight. Like, he's flying. But defensively, I think he's playing a little bit better. Offensively, I think he's playing with a little bit of he is playing with better players. And I think that he's being rewarded for it. That shorthanded goal, I mean, I think that's a testament to his defensive play. I mean, he was playing high, and he capitalized on a puck that I think it ricocheted off of Edvinsson, and he took it in. And the nice part is that he finished. Yeah. Andrew Kopp's, I don't think he's ever really been a finisher. In fact, I think there's been times where I've been super frustrated because of the fact that he couldn't finish on quality chances. But it just goes to show you that, Andrew Kopp's playing with a little bit of confidence right now, because he took that puck down on a breakaway with pressure, and he wired that thing glove side. So good for him. It went in. That's exactly the kind of things you want to see when it comes to a coach turning around a team, specifically turning around a player to make the team better. I really like the pathway that Trent and Todd have Andrew Kopp on right now, because it's noticeable, man. Like, you can see it. You can see some evolution there. It's really nice to see.
Yep. So, and then moving along to Dylan Larkin, getting another point. He actually gets a power play goal in the second as well. That ends the scoring for the game, which does end up finishing the game 4-2 win. Dubs in the chat. Moving along to the game last night, Carlo. I feel like I should just let you have this own segment because you were there the whole game. And I feel like we've kind of talked about it already with the other games, but just briefly, you did have Talbot in net. Kasper scores the game-winning goal and the first goal of the game in the second, making it 1-0. The tip in, like I mentioned. And then Michael Rasmussen, Moose, gets the empty netter, making it 2-0. Dubs in the chat. Wings did spend the last 3 minutes of the game in their own zone, defending well enough with a bit of luck.
Yeah.
Missed open nets, Carlo, to seal the win. So talk about this game. Yeah, you went to the game last night. Talk about how electric it was. Like I said earlier, I told you it felt like it was a playoff game.
It really did, man. It wasn't one of those low-scoring games that were boring. The second period kind of got a little, I would say the first 10 minutes got kind of, it was kind of like, okay, is this game going to break open? The first was very entertaining. It was back and forth. It was fast paced, with Detroit having the edge there. And then obviously the second period comes around. Like I just said, it was kind of lully, and then Kasper kind of scores and breaks in. And that's when I wasn't expecting a high scoring game, obviously with Vasilevsky in net. But I guess I was expecting that. I was expecting to see a good battle, and that's what we saw last night. Kasper with a great goal. That was super nifty. Place erupted. And the place was packed. I did not see one empty seat in that arena. It was awesome. It was a vibe. It was a party. It was a really, really good time. And then the third period came around, and it was continuously another battle. Obviously, Tampa was pressing. Detroit went into the third period with a lead. Tampa was pressing, and then obviously the last 3 minutes happened. A couple things leading up to that, though. Cam Talbot, like, he wasn't just unreal in the third period. There was a chance that they had in the first period, and he absolutely robbed them. A lot of people thought it was high over the net or off the crossbar. No. That hit his glove. He kind of did like a pretty eccentric, like, glove windmill type of save, but he
so totally it did hit his glove, because we heard 100%. Ken saying he wasn't sure if it actually hit his glove or not. It
did. It 100% confirmed hit his glove. If you watch, I watched the video. They do a really nice job at the arena now even if the play's going on, if a crazy save happens, they throw it on the Jumbotron, even if the play's still going on. So I took a look up and I saw it and they slowed it down. And oh yeah, it definitely hit his glove. And I think the place erupted again when they saw that. It was nuts. So that was a really key moment for the Wings last night. And that save was absolutely huge. And then you got to just give credit to the team for grinding. I mean, they kept up with those guys really, really well. Now Tampa came off, I believe it was 3 games in 4 nights or something like that. Like they were probably tired.
Yep.
I did mention to my brother-in-law who I was there with, like we were sitting where Detroit shoots twice. So Tampa Bay warmed up in that zone before the game. And dude, their warm-up was bad.
Oh,
like, it was bad.
You already.
I knew. I'm
like, right now.
Literally. I was like, oh my God, these guys do not look dialed at all. But I don't know what that even means, but it's just something I noticed. And they Tampa did play well. Detroit just had the edge. I think Detroit just played with a little edge, played with a little vengeance on their mind, a little revenge on their mind, and they got the go ahead there. One thing that stood out to me again though was penalty kill. Tampa had 2 power plays. Detroit shut them down. That's crazy. I mean, that's amazing. And again, it goes and speaks to the structure that Trent and Todd put into play. But like I said earlier, Andrew Kopp stood out to me this game. Elmer Soderblom stood out to me this game, man. He looks like he belongs, man. He's playing so well. And then Albert Johansson was by far the first star of the night for me last night. He was playing like he was 6'5", 270 pounds. He was rock'em sock'em defense. He was pinching up, smashing people when he was pinching up. He played such a defensively sound game last night. He finished every single check. I think he had 7 blocks, 3 or 4 hits I think you had written down.
Yep.
He played unreal. He looks like he belongs. And, speaking about these youth coming in and playing this well, I know it's them executing on it, but we have to give some credit to Trent and Todd.
Absolutely.
They are developing these kids so well because they're giving them the juice and the confidence they need to go out on the ice and play the way that we're seeing them play right now. It's truly incredible. The youth movement is definitely here. For how long, we don't know. Hopefully long enough that it starts dictating some trades, right? Because we're kind of getting into that season. So, maybe these guys do stick around and we start seeing some guys get offloaded, whether it be for talent or for assets, I don't know. But I don't know, man. I really think, not again, jumping a little bit ahead, that Rantanen trade, which is absolutely mind-blowing, is really going to kickstart the trade frenziness when it comes to the trade deadline, because I don't think anybody saw that coming.
Absolutely. Yeah, and not jumping too far ahead, kind of talking about that trade. Yeah, Rantanen got traded to the Canes. We'll go in depth about that, but he goes from the West now to the East, Carlo. Granted, it's not in our division, but that makes the conference that much more difficult, even for the Wings, regardless if the Carolina Hurricanes are in their top 3 spots in their own division. It's still just as difficult for the Red Wings in that situation, right? And so, yeah, I mean, we'll wait to talk about Albert Johansson and Soderblom. We're going to save that for the main topics, obviously. But this all around was a fantastic win, Carlo. And you brought up how our penalty kill came out and shut out the Tampa Bay Lightning. Just kind of being devil's advocate or being the pessimist too. The Red Wings didn't look very good on their power play either. They had quite a few opportunities. They had 3 or 4 and they got shut out just as well too, right? Yeah. But the Red Wings took advantage of their key opportunities, like Marco Kasper getting in front of the net. Him being on the top line now probably is going to be the best thing for him moving forward. And you talked about development and how these coaches are doing it. I don't even know if I want to call it development. I think that they're just utilizing them properly to their skill set and giving them the trust that they deserve, like an Albert Johansson, who played almost 21 minutes on the ice last night. You look at the previous 2 games, 18:35 against the Habs, and then just under 14 minutes against the Flyers. So Tom McLellan and Trent Yanni absolutely are loving what they're seeing out of someone like Albert Johansson, not only just in games, but at the practices as well. And in that situation, where the Red Wings spent in their zone the last 3 minutes defending against the Tampa Bay Lightning, Albert Johansson was out there for almost the whole 3 minutes of that, right? And so credit to him for showing up and showcasing how good he truly is. Is this a surprise to you, what we're witnessing from an Albert Johansson right now, Carlo?
I was high on Aljo, even like when we were recording the pod off season. I did talk a lot about Aljo, and I did talk a lot about excitement with him, but I also prefaced it by saying seeing is believing. That's kind of my thing. And that doesn't just go for me, but I think it also goes for the players. Like you just said, like Aljo played over 20 minutes last night. Seeing is believing just as much as it is for me as it is for him. So the fact that he can go back and say, wow, I just played 21 minutes against Tampa Bay Lightning. We shut them out and we kept their power play silent. That's got to be a huge thing for him to take it up to another level.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a domino effect. It's a ripple effect, which works both ways. Domino effects can work very negatively for you, but they can also work extremely positively for you when being managed properly. And we're seeing that right now, man. We are seeing Aljo develop into a very sound defenseman who personally I think is solidified himself as a top 4 D-man, at least on this team and at least right now. And he has the potential to continue that pathway to be a top 4 D-man for many years to come. Depending on what shakes up with our D-core and what Steve does with it. But no, I think we're seeing really good things defensively being brought out. And this goes for everybody because we beat Tampa Bay last night purely 5-on-5, Zach.
Yep.
That means that we played very well defensively 5-on-5. And then we outplayed them 5-on-5 offensively. So that's a huge win in my books, man.
And against an Andre Vasilevsky, dude,
Correct.
who usually shuts us out. Remember that game last season where we were so close to making the playoffs and they just completely shut us out. We reversed the roles on them this season.
Yeah, like to score on Vasilevsky, you need to get a dirty, greasy goal, just like Kasper did.
Kasper did that.
Because every other shot, I kept making comments last time, like, wow, another breadbasket shot. Wow, shooting at the logo. Like, it was a lot of that, but I just don't – I don't want to discredit Vasilevsky because maybe he put himself in the perfect position to handle each shot that it landed in his logo, which could be the case as well. So I'm not going to sit here.
Of a goalie, dude. Of course he did. That's exactly what he did.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say the Wings were not taking quality shots. I don't think it's fair to say that when you're up against one of the best goalies on the planet. I think positionally, you're not finding a better goalie who plays positions so well, plays the angle so well that when you shoot. Maybe the hole is there, but by the time he gets it and reads it, it's in his chest and it's in his logo. And a lot of Detroit shots one-on-one were just like that. Big shout out to Kasper, who I think was double covered when he tipped that, when he had that redirect from Comfort, which was again just awesome. The place was absolutely electric after that, man. It was great.
And we don't have someone that's currently like that just goes to the front of the net and that can tip in pucks like that. We were always hoping that Michael Rasmussen could be someone like that because that's actually one of the reasons why Ken Holland drafted him, because they wanted him to be the next Thomas Holmstrom, where he would collect all of his points on the power play, tipping in the puck.
Yeah.
Maybe that's Marco Kasper, and that's the guy that you keep on the top line to always do that, So we'll wait and see, right? As Carlos says, seeing is believing.
Yep.
So we're going to go ahead and take a moment and actually say congrats to that tapeworm at tapeworm that on Twitter for winning the Patrick Kane bobblehead giveaway.
Oh,
congratulations.
Snap. What a handle too, that tapeworm.
So go ahead and shoot us a direct message on Twitter. In order to have won this, you had to have followed us, like the post, tag a friend. There was a bonus entry if you did show a photo that you were subscribed. She did end up doing both, so congratulations for doing that and for winning that. We will definitely send that out, have it nice and bubble wrap so it doesn't get damaged by USPS, and we hope that you enjoy your Patrick Kane bobblehead. More giveaways to come. We got plenty more. I would love to show you guys what I have here on my desk, but
it's coming.
We're going to keep quiet. It's coming. It's coming. Carlo, I think we can go ahead and jump into the main topics. Pretty much this whole entire episode, we've already kind of been talking about them, but going more in depth about it, I did want to throw this out there because I thought this was a really cool stat. Just kind of keeping track of how we're doing this season compared to last season. Saturday night during the Tampa Bay game, it was actually put onto the screen after the first period, the record of the Red Wings this season versus last season. This season, Carlo, before the game, now they're 23, 21, and 5, but before they were 22, 21, and 5. Last season, they were 24, 18, and 5. There's a 4-point difference there with one more game played this season than last year. Your goals per game have dramatically dropped from 2.81 or from 3.49 to 2.81. Your goals against per game have actually dropped from 3.32 to 3.21. And then your power play percentage has dramatically increased by 5% from 23 to 28.3%. I'm gonna say this, Carlo. Majority of these definitely are mirroring images of Snoozy Lalone, right?
Oh, 100%, dude.
Yeah, and you only have about, what has it been now, 10 games under Tom McClellan and Trent Yawney. I mean, you could easily say that these numbers, I would expect them to go up if the Red Wings continue playing the way that they're doing at home. They need to change a little bit on the road. So these numbers are deflated, right? So is there an expectation to uprise on the goals per game and decrease the goals against and continue increasing the power play as the season continues along with this new coaching staff?
Dude, yes. I think things are going to be a lot better. I think if Todd McClellan and Trent Yawney were here to run training camp and get us through all those, we would be in the mix very comfortably.
We talked about it 2 episodes ago where if Todd McClellan and Trent Yawney started this season as the coaches, would Lucas Raymond be a 100-point player? I firmly believe so.
Yeah. It's funny, and I'm not going to go back and beat this one down too much, but you're probably going to give me flack for this. So are the Hockeytown West boys for sure.
Sure.
But dude, I saw it in the preseason. Do you remember I was flipping out about preseason games in the group chat, and I'm like, man, these guys there's no quality. I understand. Oh, don't worry, it's preseason. I'm like, no. Like, they're playing like they don't even know each other. Like, I have a concern on the connection on the ice or lack thereof. It's all right. It's preseason. And I kind of said, okay, maybe, yeah, it's preseason. Maybe this is just normal preseason play. And then the season started, and I'm like, yeah, it's the same thing I'm seeing. So just, again, I'm not going to beat that one down too much. I saw this during the preseason. I don't know what Derek Lalone and his staff were doing, saying, but I truly believe that if Todd McClellan and Trent Yawney were here, in Todd we trust, for day one, including training camp, this team is completely different. The outlook is completely different. Lucas Raymond's trajectory is probably 15 points, 20 points higher, as well as others who had a very, very bad start. Patrick Kane, I think there's just a lot of things that would be different. If anybody knows Doctor Strange, who can come back and do his thing to get us back, that would be awesome. But we are where we are, and I think that the Todd father is going to really shape these numbers up very positively by the time the season ends. Regardless of playoffs, let's end the season. Let's look at the underlying numbers to see how it made up. Let's compare those against Derek Lalone. I would bet anything that they are going to be better in spades.
Now, let's say we do get the end of the season, right? Are we actually going to, is it fair to a Tom McClellan and a Trent Yawney that we would compare the second half of the season to a Snoozy Lalone, let's say last season? Is it entirely fair to do that to this new coaching staff right now?
I don't think so, man. I think when you use the word fair, the first thing that comes to my mind is, well, Derek Lalone had 2 full seasons. These guys have had 1/2 of the season.
Yep.
Right? So to me, it's automatically not fair. We have to give these guys a full season, including training camp, to maximize the amount of practices. We already found out what practice was like under the old coaching staff. It was barely a practice. So,
yep.
Players still talk about it today in post-practice, in pre-games and post-games. I don't know, man. I think we have to wait and see. We have to wait for a full year. And to be honest with you, I'm craving a full year of these guys watching this team play right now. I really am.
I think that's a lot of people. I think a lot of people are like, I'm kind of not written off for this season, right? Because it's We want them to make the playoffs. Do we believe they're going to? Most likely not, right? We already said that last episode, but yeah, we're excited to see what a Trent Yawney and Tom McClellan can do for this team in a preseason, the offseason, and what's this team going to look like moving forward going into next season, right? And so, yeah, I'm not going to try and compare what he did this whole entire second half of the season and try and compare it to Snoozy, because you can obviously tell they're two completely different types of coaches and how they coach their players, right?
100%, dude.
New coach bump, sure, maybe that's still in effect. However, but if it's working, it's working. So I'm going to take it all day long. And I do have some pretty high expectations for him going into next season. I do believe it starts with making the playoffs. And I think he knows that. I think Steve told him that if you don't make it this year, that's fine. We're not going to hold you to it. But next season, for sure, that's the next step, right? So,
well, yes, but keep in mind, I think Steve needs to do his part as well. Easier said than done, Steve. 100%. You want me to make the playoffs with this roster? I mean, let's be real here. There needs to be some big-time roster adjustments, which I fully anticipate there will be, because otherwise, if they don't make the playoffs next season, I don't think that's going to be on Todd.
Right. So yeah, wait and see if maybe Steve Yzerman does anything, and we'll actually talk about that during the segment anyways. But Carlo, we're going to start with the youth movement before we talk about the trade deadline, because I feel like it's more appropriate to talk about this.
Totally.
That ties into the trade deadline.
Totally ties into it. I was just going to say.
So the youth movement, Carlo, is it in full swing? Because right now the Red Wings have 9 players that are 25 and under currently playing on this roster. You have someone like Albert Johansson, Elmer Soderblom. You have Simon Edvinsson, Marco Kasper, Jonathan Berggren, Moritz Seider, Lucas Raymond, and there's probably a couple players I'm missing in there too. I said 9 total. So is Albert Johansson a solidified top 4 D-man currently? Does Elmer Soderblom stick in the lineup for the rest of the season? And then do Marco Kasper, Albert Johansson, and Elmer Soderblom, are they full-time regulars next season for the Detroit Red Wings in an 82-game season?
If you're asking me, I really think so. And I think you're going to see different slottings as well. Soderblom's playing on the 4th line right now. He's playing with Rass and Fisher. Look what happened with Kasper when he started playing with better players. Look what happened to Kopp when he got injected into the second line playing with better players. You know, I think what I would like to see is Soderblom make his way to the 3rd line playing with Compher and Berggren, because I really think Berggren and Soderblom together could be dangerous.
Yeah.
And then eventually, you know, to see Soderblom, Danielson, Berggren, I think would be amazing. Like, I think that could be an actual seriously competitive 3rd line that could make some noise and really maximize their time on the ice. So these are just things I look forward to and reasons why I say yes. I think we're going to see Kasper's not going anywhere. Soderblom's not going anywhere. Berggren's really finding a great stride right now. I don't think he's going where. And Johansson, can somebody find anything wrong with this guy over the course of the last month? He's playing so well. And I think Todd even said that he's been the biggest surprise to him and Trent was what they have with Albert Johansson. He said that again after the Montreal game. I don't think these players are going anywhere. In fact, I think you got to start looking at Tarasenko and Kane as maybe the 2 guys that might be heading out.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, if it's not those 2, then you look at obviously players like Tyler Mott. You can make a case for even like someone like Joe Veleno. He fits in that 25 and under group too. But with the amount of center prospects that we have and the amount of centers that we currently have on this team, Carlo, who knows what the future holds for him? Maybe even someone like Michael Rasmussen. We talked about that last episode too. But yeah, I mean, talking about the trade deadline, Matt Larkin, I believe he was speaking on Daily Faceoff. I could be wrong, but Matt Larkin believes the Wings will trade Patrick Kane since the East and the Atlantic are so jam-packed in the middle, and that's where the Red Wings currently are right now. Do you actually believe Patrick Kane could be traded even with his no trade clause or no move clause, whichever one it is?
Yeah, I think anything's possible. I would try to see if this is the thing, like if the Wings rip off another 5, 6, 7 game heater and they get themselves into a mix, I could see Tarasenko being traded over Patrick Kane.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And I would hope to see that because if we did see that, then you see Soderblom starting to slot up the lineup, hopefully a little bit. And I really think we would not miss Tarasenko. No disrespect to Tarasenko. I just don't think we would miss him with who's coming up and taking his spot. So I would rather see Tarasenko get traded. Granted, the Wings rip off another 5 to 7 game winning streak and they get themselves into a mix. The problem is, dude, like I was watching the game last night live, but I was refreshing the standings and the scores on the NHL app because everybody else that we're in the mix with won except Montreal. So it's getting really hard. Like you go and beat a team like Tampa Bay and play that great game, and then Columbus wins, Ottawa wins, right? Montreal, they lost, but point is that this mix in this division is so tight that I almost want to like, do we hold, or do we just let go of a player who's been very low impact that's still wanted by other teams? And that player to me is Tarasenko.
I like where you're going with that, because I think the best solution here with someone like a Tarasenko, because you listen to some other people, whether that's in, real life situations or even on social media, whether that's Twitter or not, but some people might think that you would have to give up in order to move a Tarasenko. Me personally, I actually don't believe that. I think the best route that the Red Wings would go, and Steve Yzerman should look into this, is trade Tarasenko for a player that fills a need that you currently have right now. That's not the same as a Tarasenko. I don't think we need someone to replace him. Like if we're bringing someone in, let's call it a pure hockey trade, right? A 1-for-1, maybe similar contract, length, cap, whatever. If you could find someone who plays a different style of game than Tarasenko, I don't think we need someone to score goals. That's not our priority. Clearly, it's not a good fit with Tarasenko with the Detroit Red Wings. It is what it is. Are we willing to wait an extra year? I don't think so. I think we would rather prioritize that spot for a young player like a Nate Danielson, right? Maybe the Wings want to put him on the wing just to start off with him. But yeah, if you could find someone who plays a tough, rugged game, maybe more defensive style game on the forward end, maybe someone a little bit better than Christian Fischer, right? Christian Fischer hasn't looked that good this season, right? So if you can make an upgrade without actually having to give up something and do a pure hockey trade with someone else, I don't know who that would be with, and I don't know what player we could get back. But if Steve Yzerman could do something like that, that could help out this team a lot, Carlo. Moving down the line too.
What about a little Tarasenko and Hall for Eriksson?
Carlos channeling his inner me. No.
Two bad players does not equal a good player in a trade.
Why not? We'll throw in a used washing machine once again, folks. We'll throw it.
So
Carlo, it's either, to me, I mean, I'm not making a trade just to make a trade. Like, hey, like we're not doing well, we're selling. Hey, here, take Tarasenko for nothing. If a team really wants Tarasenko, and give me a 4th or a 5th for him, okay? That at least gets the cap off of our, books and everything, right? And then, like I said, you get that free open roster spot for a young player like a Nate Danielson, or if Carter Mazur, now that he's back, maybe he starts to pick it up a little bit and you can give him a game or two or something. Just situations like that. But other players, Carlo, once again, actually continuing on with Patrick Kane, because that's who we were talking about originally. Do I think he gets traded? I actually don't. I think it would actually come down to, if you had to pick between Kane and Tarasenko, it's going to be Tarasenko.
Yeah, I would think so.
I think Kane is actually last on the list. I actually personally believe he doesn't want to be traded. I don't think he actually wants to go anywhere. I think he absolutely loves Detroit. Yeah. He's more of a family man now, and I think that's what he's most interested in, right? And so I think he's very comfortable with where he's at, personally. So, no, I don't think he's traded. Other players that I think you could trade at the trade deadline, yeah, Tarasenko, Tyler Mott, Christian Fischer. I do believe Veleno's on that list. If you could somehow get Hall, Petrie, or Sherratt on there too, sure. Yeah, if there's teams that are coming knocking, but we're not trading these players just to get rid of them, right? This is the trade deadline we're talking about, right? So if you can recoup some assets for some of these players, do it. Even if they're 3rd or 4th round picks, because you can utilize those in other trades down the line too, if you're trying to get a Mikko Rantanen type of player. Right, Carlos? So we'll just have to wait and see. But who would be on your list? And personally, to me, I'm not buying, selling, or holding. I think if there's a team coming along, I'm trying to make hockey trades to where I can make the team a little bit better.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you 100%.
So there's no expectation or thought in your mind that the Red Wings could potentially be a buyer at the trade deadline. What if they are in a wild card position, Carlo?
Yeah, I mean, if they're in a wild card position, then I think they're going to start to taste it, and they're going to probably want to start making some moves to solidify that spot or maybe even creep up a little bit more. This is the thing, though. It's really early. Like, it's January 26th. The deadline's not it's 6 weeks away. A lot can happen in 6 weeks. A lot can happen in 4 weeks. I mean, we saw Detroit rip off a 7-game heater and then lose 3 in a row. Like, a lot can happen. I think, like, obviously the meetings and the discussions and the preemptive stuff happens probably now, but I don't think they're really going to decide on what they want to do unless a specific scenario plays out. And to your point, that's in a wild card spot. So really, I think you're going to see a whiteboard, a very big whiteboard with a few scenarios on it to determine what does it mean for us to be buying mode? What does that scenario look like? What's the hold scenario look like? And what does the sell scenario look like? And I don't think they know because the scenario is not here yet. We're at the very beginning of okay, let's see how this goes. And our deadline is maybe 4 weeks from now, and 2 weeks before the trade deadline, boom, 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 things start happening. I think it's really, honestly, I think the players and this Red Wings team, including the coaching staff, are going to dictate the trades or the lack thereof that are about to go down in the next 6 weeks. So pay attention, and this is going to be the most exciting time to watch this team play, I think, because I think they have full control over the outcome of what happens here. I mean, they obviously do when it comes to their standings and their points, but more the roster construction. Show me what you guys want to do here. Go out and play.
Absolutely. Do you believe that this is a buyer's or a seller's market this year? With the cap up going, personally to me, Carlo, I believe this is a buyer's market right now. I think there's going to be a lot of teams just calling up teams that aren't really, like, they'll be at the bottom, but I don't think they're going to be willing to actually sell, right? So there's going to be a lot of trades made, I believe, this upcoming trade deadline. What are your thoughts on that, if it's going to be a buyer or seller market?
Yeah, I agree with you. I do think it'll be a buyer's market too. I think, honestly, that Rantanen trade really kickstarted things really quickly, and it really kind of dictated and set the tone, I think. But with all that past now and just kind of seeing how, especially your great point on the cap, I think you're going to see a buyer's market here.
Yeah. Awesome. Carlo, let's go ahead and jump into the round of league news. And the NHL actually just did something where they're presenting quarter century teams for each NHL team. I actually have that super small. I'm not sure if you guys can really see that, but you do have the starting lineup of Pavel Datsyuk, Steve Yzerman, Henrik Zetterberg, Nicholas Kronwall, Nicholas Lidstrom, and Chris Osgood as the first team. And then for the second team, Carlo, I think I'm more interested in the second team. You have Sergei Fedorov, Dylan Larkin, Brendan Shanahan, Chris Chelios, Brian Rafalski, and Dominic Hasek. Do you have any qualms with either of these two teams? Start with the first team.
Zero qualms. Look, we're spoiled. We are just so spoiled. Look, read the names. You know, Chris Osgood's there because he's got Lidstrom and Kronwall playing defense, and that's literally exactly what people mean by he Chris Osgooded this game. He played good enough, but his defense played great. That's what this is right here. Pavel Datsyuk, Steve Yzerman, Henrik Zetterberg. Like, give me a better top three in their primes respectively. Like, come on, man. Like, that's just nuts.
Carlo, even the second team, I think, could outbeat anyone's first team in the NHL.
Chelios, Rafalski on D, Dominic Hasek in net, and then you got Fedorov, Larkin, and Shanahan. That's gross. That is gross.
Could you have made a case for Moritz Seider on the second team?
Yeah, I think you can. Absolutely.
I believe you could. It would be really close, though, and I'm sure it was. It had to have been tough to have made these teams, right?
Yeah, for sure. Whoever had to like put these together and make the decisions, so glad I'm not you.
Yeah.
So glad I'm not you.
No kidding. And then, much like we kept on talking about throughout this episode, Friday night, it was bananas, Carlo, because you had a blockbuster trade happening between the Colorado Avalanche, the Carolina Hurricanes, and the Chicago Blackhawks, playing the third party, taking on some cap and getting a pick in return. But starting off at the top, Carolina Hurricanes receive Mikko Rantanen and Taylor Hall. The Colorado Avalanche received from Carolina Martin Necas, Jack Drury, a 25 second-round pick, and a 26 fourth-round pick. And then Chicago getting a third-round pick. I believe that is their own pick coming back from the Canes. And then they also take on 50% of Rantanen's salary, which I'm very shocked that that's all they got because they took on quite a bit of cap. I don't have it off the top of my head or in front of me. It's probably more than $4 million, I believe. But thoughts on this trade real quick, Carlo?
Unexpected. Did not realize that was even in play. I think it was starting to get people were maybe starting to wonder, like, what's the deal with Rantanen? Like, are they going to worry about this in the offseason? And obviously Colorado figured out very quickly, like, we're not going to be able to come to a number with this guy. Or maybe Rantanen said, like, Rantanen's camp's like, no, we want 14 million. Don't talk to me unless the paper says 1-4 on it. That could be the case too. And then it triggered them to, I don't want to say panic, but sell him. And they did. The question that I have really is he going to re-sign with Carolina, or is he just going to go there as a rental and then hit the market? That's my thing. Because I don't know what their cap situation is going to look like next year, but that's a big contract, dude.
Yeah, next season, let's see wow. Okay, so they'll have $31.2 million in cap space next season. So they have ample room to sign a Mikko Rantanen if they wanted to. They also have Taylor Hall once again.
They got a lot of people to sign, though.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at it. They have Taylor Hall, Mikko Rantanen, Jack Roslovic, Jesper Fast, Eric Robinson, whoever that is.
Frederick Anderson, they got to sign.
If they even want to bring him back, that boy's always injured. Dmitry Orlov, he comes in on a 7.75 cap hit. He's 33 years old. Brent Burns, they got a little bit of an older back end, so maybe they want to get a little bit younger. But you can clearly tell the Canes are, I don't want to call it desperation mode, but they're in a win now mode where I feel like the Colorado Avalanche had the leg up in this trade to me personally, because the Colorado Avalanche don't have to give Mikko Rantanen $14 million. They already have a Nathan McKinnon. They already have a Cale Makar, right? So they already have their two superstars. Adding one more with a high cap hit, that's only going to put them in trouble, right? No matter how much the cap's going to go up. But you're getting a center out of Martin Necas. You're getting Jack Drury, a winger, right? I believe he's a winger. But yeah, just overall, I like it better for the Colorado Avalanche. But once again, Carolina, I don't want to call it desperation mode, but they're in a win now mode where they don't have too much time left remaining, right? So they have a lot of older players that are in their middle age bracket, and they are in win now mode. And with the way that the East is looking in general, it's very tight, Carlo. Anything can happen, but we've seen a lot of teams in the past make trades like this that are very big, and it doesn't end up working out for them. And you made it a point. Does he even re-sign with Carolina? They do have the cap we mentioned, but is that something they look to do? I'm assuming that they're going to try to. But yeah, the rumor is that all season long they were trying to work with Mikko Rantanen, just couldn't come to an agreement. And so yeah, tried to get something out of him before it was too late. And so even looking at the Colorado Avalanche roster, let's see, they have Martin Necas for another year after this one at a $6.5 million cap hit. Jack Drury only comes in at 1.725. He's got one more year of RFA status, so at least they get to keep him and sign him an extra. He actually plays center. They'll probably place him on the wing. Who knows? But yeah, I actually like this a lot better for the Colorado Avalanche because they get to keep these players for a little bit extra longer, and then they don't have to deal with the headache for Rantanen. I don't know what your thoughts are on this, if you have a winner or a loser in this trade.
Yeah, I think Colorado, because they're already a really well-balanced team, and they just got a little bit more well-balanced, a little bit deeper. Don't get me wrong, like Rantanen's badass. You know, maybe they know something with Landeskog. Maybe he's coming back, and he's looking really, really good. I don't know. But you said it, man. They have a McKinnon. They have a Cale Makar. Their goaltending just got a lot better, too. You know, now you add those players that you added to really kind of balance out your depth. You flip back to Carolina, like, dude, you nailed it there too. Like it's a very weird team. They're doing well, but it's just so weird the way they're built. But they have 11 players that they need to re-sign next season, and they have 31 million. Are you giving 50% of that away to Rantanen when you have 11 players to sign? I don't think you can. Otherwise, you're in a Toronto Maple Leafs situation, which obviously has not worked out for them well. You know, you look at Detroit in a quick comparison to Detroit, they have 3 RFAs and 5 UFAs, but majority of the UFAs probably won't be back. Like Jeff Petry's not coming back.
Right.
Tyler Mott's probably not coming back. Christian Fisher's not coming back. So that really leaves you with one UFA in Patrick Kane to determine what are you going to do there.
Yeah.
Right. And then, William Lagesson, I don't see him coming back because Husso, like we are in a really good position to go after a big fish right now, considering how well the youth is coming in and how well the youth is taking to this coaching staff, this style of play, and the identity that's currently being built with this team. Now, I'm not out here saying Detroit is forecasted 100% to go and get Mikko Rantanen, because Detroit doesn't really have that much cap space either next year. I think it's like $18 million. So even that's kind of like a little funky. But we have enough to cover $14 million with a little bit to spare. We do. Don't know how that works for Patrick Kane if he wants to come back, or if the Detroit Red Wings want him to come back. But on the stuff that's leaving, on the players that are leaving and not re-signing, I think the youth comes right in perfectly well at a perfect time to cover those spots, to allow us, like I said, to go after a big fish and maybe even re-sign a guy like Patrick Kane. So I don't know. I think Detroit's in a really, really interesting position here. Obviously, this is barring trades. I mean, who knows what happens in that stuff too. But yeah, we might send somebody for nothing again. We did it for Jake. We did it with Jake Wallman to clear up some space. We could do it again. It is Steve Yzerman after all. But anyways, to answer your question, I do like this better for Colorado, for sure. They seem like the way more balanced team. They have addressed their goaltending. Let's see how this plays out for them second half of the season. Carolina, they obviously are taking a shot at winning now. They're taking a shot at the fact that this very well could be a rental. And if it is a rental, I don't think it costed them too much if they really truly believe that they can go and win this thing this year, and lose out on Rantanen in free agency. So I don't know, man. It's like, I like it better for Colorado, but I don't hate it for Carolina. I don't hate it.
The general manager for the Carolina Hurricanes is Eric Tulsky. Do you believe that he is feeling the fire to get this team into a Stanley Cup final, let alone win one, but get them in there? Is that kind of the ultimate goal here? Is that he's feeling the fire under his butt?
I don't know, man. He's relatively new to the organization, right? As a GM, so I don't know how much fire he's feeling. I know he's on the younger side. I know he's a real big analytic guy. Mm-hmm. He could be crunching some numbers and seeing some things that maybe none of us are. And bringing Rantanen in is really going to take him to the promised land, and they very well could. Especially if Anderson finds his groove in net, dude, this team could, like the way this team is constructed right now, could be dangerous. But is he feeling pressure? I don't know, man. That's tough to say. You would think anybody in that position, in a GM position in the National Hockey League, does a really good job at managing that and not feeling pressure. You would think. So I don't want to go there. I think that he's following a playbook that he has, and he's trying to go out there and win. And I think that he's probably prepared to offer Mikko Rantanen an extension if this doesn't pan out for them. That's what I think.
As he should, or else you basically just traded a number one, number two center away for a rental, which is absolutely insane. And for Red Wings fans looking at this trade, you're not going to get in a situation like this. The Red Wings don't have any players that are a Mikko Rantanen or a Martin Necas. And even if you were targeting one of those players, you're giving up Nate Danielson, Marco Kasper, or anything like that. So for the people that are like, how come we didn't do anything like that? Because we don't have that. Unless you're willing to sacrifice the future. So it is what it is. But real quick, Carlo, you don't have to go too in depth about this, but thoughts on Chicago playing a role in taking on that 50%. It was like $4.6 million in cap just for a third round pick.
Yeah, I mean, they're in that's the situation they're in, man. That's just the situation that Chicago is in.
Is it to hit the cap floor, or they had to give up Taylor Hall, which was $6 million? So did they take on that cap so that way they could hit the cap floor?
No, I think they were still on. They were well above the cap floor. I think they only have like $5 million in cap space right now. So I mean, it's not like they're super loaded with money. I just think they got a pick. They took on some money, and they were the team willing to do it. There was a few more teams that could have did it too, right? There was a few more, but Chicago said, "Oh, we'll do it. We'll take it. We'll take the pick, and we can make this work, financially." And they did it.
Sometimes you can find diamonds in the rough, and the third too did it for shits and giggles. I guess it's only for a year taking on.
Well, they got rid of Taylor Hall though too, right? So I mean that comes off their books because if you look at their cap space for next season, they have $29 million in cap,
right?
And they probably are going to if I'm thinking they're probably going to want to sign Connor Bedard to some big money soon. So they're probably looking at that, getting ready for that.
Maybe sign a Mitch Marner too. Honestly, could you imagine him with Bedard? And then if they get James Higgins in the draft, dangerous. That's dangerous.
Yep.
Dangerous.
And that's how you do it. That's how you would do it, man.
Do it. Carlo, I think we can wrap up this episode. We're well over an hour now, but maybe if I edit, it's under an hour for the viewers, watchers, and listeners. But I think now is a good time we can head into our final thoughts, buddy. Go ahead and take it away real quick.
Final thoughts. Wings are heading back on the road soon, very soon, and let's hope for a different outcome here. Let's hope for a different point spread and point totals that we can get. I really hope this team can snap off another 5, 6, 7 game heater. That would bode very, very well for us, obviously in the standings, but it'll give us the fans a lot to talk about when it comes to the trade deadline, because I think you're going to see Detroit quite active. If they can go and snap off another winning streak. So let's go Red Wings. Let's get some wins, and let's make things very interesting for the management of this team to make some decisions. That's what I'm looking forward to in the next, call it 2 weeks here.
Yeah. Great final thoughts. Mine are let's go Red Wings, obviously. Hashtag let's go Red Wings. Hashtag the Todd Father effect. The Todd Father. Go ahead and check out our merch and apparel. You can do that by clicking on our link tree that is in all of our bios in our social medias. We do have them in the description of our episodes as well. Go ahead and check them out. We really do appreciate it. Yeah, Carlo, the standings are very tight. The Red Wings, most certainly, based on what you said earlier in this episode too, the Red Wings win, all these other teams win that are ahead of them in the standings. And so in order for the Red Wings to make it into a wild card situation or just playoff spot in general, yeah, you got to continue going on these long stretch here, right? Another 5 or 6 game winning streak that should put you within a point or two, or if not, at the very least in a wild card position, right? And so if the team can continue doing that and not go on 2 to 3 game losing streaks, they're good, right? And so we'll just have to wait and see what Steve Yzerman wants to do at the trade deadline. The Four Nations tournament is upcoming. Maybe wait and see if anything happens during then. I think there might be a lock for the NHL to actually make any moves during that time, but we'll just have to wait and see, right? I mean, it's going to be very interesting. I do believe that we're currently seeing a youth movement. Backtracking, I do believe that it is a buyer's market this year. I do believe that the Red Wings are going to do mostly pure hockey trades, maybe sell some players to bring up some younger players, but that's my outlook of it. Let us know down in the comments what you guys like to, or what you guys think. Let us know what you guys are hearing, what you guys are speaking. Let us know down in the comments. Just lay it on us. We love engaging with you guys and interacting with you guys.
Totally.
And Carlo, that's it. And I think from here, we'll see y'all on the next one. See ya.